I've recently had an elbow injury, and part of my treatment has been scraping. What is this doing?
Scraping,
Yeah,
the
it's very,
classic elbow
very
scraping.
trendy right now.
So another word for scraping is instrumented assisted soft tissue massage, which could also be known as tool assisted massage, Gratson. There's all these other things that will be used for scraping. So what's actually happening when you're getting scraped? You're getting distracted. That's it. You're getting distracted. Your nervous system's getting distracted away from the discomfort because you're adding more discomfort to it. You're resetting the pain threshold because, oh, my elbow hurts right here. Well, let me get a tool and rub it back and forth with a lot of friction and pressure until it turns red. Or some people will say you have to do it until it bruises. And if you don't do it until it bruises, then you're not going to get a healing effect. So it's basically, hey, I'm bruised here. Let me keep poking it and punching it so that it doesn't hurt as bad. So you're distracting the nervous system from what's going on there. And people will say to that point of like, it needs to bruise or it needs to be red. You're not changing the tissue underneath. You're not changing the tendon. You're not changing the muscle directly. You are changing the superficial capillaries in there with that. And a funny story, because I used to utilize scraping with patients. And as I learned more about the nervous system, I realized, yeah, we don't need to do that. But there was one time that I had some neck discomfort because my Olympic lifting form was terrible, to put it gently. And instead of using my hips on, triple extension, I was over shrugging. So my upper traps, these muscles in my neck, got really sore. And I was going to the barber the next day for a haircut. My hair was much shorter back then. And the night before, I scraped my upper trap using a butter knife, because you can use any tool that you want, but I scraped it a little bit too hard because I couldn't see it and I didn't have a mirror set up. So I was just scraping it. I actually created the bruising and things like that. So I wanted the next day to get my haircut, and the barber's shaving up the back of my neck, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm like, for what? And he's like, oh, dude, you might see a bruise on your neck later. I think my clippers caught you. I'm so sorry. And I bursted out laughing. And I was like, oh, no, dude, actually, I did that to myself with a butter knife. My apologies. I should let you know before you did that. But the point being, to change the actual tissue, to change the fascial tissue, the muscle tendon tissue, a lot of force is needed. In some areas, it's about 9,000 newtons of force. The most amount of force that we're putting in that's been in the research is about 360 newtons of force. Big discrepancy of what force is needed to change tissue and then what is actually being put in there. So with that being said, the reason that we no longer use scraping is because we think that there's other things that we can do that are going to be more beneficial. We also believe that people can scrape at home on their own, so we don't want to be spending our time and their money doing something that they can be doing completely on their own, because there's all these schools around it that you need special education in order to do this. You could go get a spoon. You could use a fork, the backside of the butter knife, not the little part that actually you scoop the butter with.
Not the ridges.
And you just rub that back and forth until you're distracted enough that you're not concerned about the pain anymore, the discomfort. So that's my take on it. And there's a lot of research that backs that we could go into. I do want to point out, though, that, so I said directly it does not change the tissue. Well, indirectly, can it change the tissue? It indirectly can change the tissue if, after you have that treatment, you then feel confident and comfortable to go load that area. But again, the scraping isn't changing the tissue. It's distracting your nervous system. And then when you go to load it, that is what's going to change the muscle tendon structure to make those long-term outcomes achievable.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Yeah, there's so many different types of tools that you can use, and all these things of the tissues being released, and the bruise means that the healing response is being started over again, and this and that. And the fact is that it doesn't go deep enough to get to those types of tissues.
Right. And it's really just changing your perception and creating almost like a higher pain tolerance, right? So it's like you're at this pain threshold. When you scrape, you're getting to a higher pain threshold. So that initial one isn't as bad because you created a worse one, essentially.
It's basically graded exposure.
Right.
Yeah.